I have heard with great interest and agree with the interventions of the previous speaker. So let me sort of make a couple of additional point on the Michael Fakhri explained sort of the rationale, the Israeli rationale behind this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation as a sort of a bait to help Israel with its ongoing strategy of forced displacement, and in particular moving the Palestinians from the north of Gaza to the south, possibly as a prelude to further displacement into Egypt or beyond. Uh, what I also think is that we should see the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation as a component of Israel's sort of use of starvation as a weapon of war and as a political instrument. It was becoming clear by the time Trump went to the Gulf now a couple of weeks ago that the images of sort of starving children uh, were sort of reaching the White House and were sort of beginning to annoy Trump to a point that he sort of said, this starvation must stop. So and I believe that the introduction of this humanitarian foundation is not indeed a normal humanitarian operation, but sort of a cynical and carefully orchestrated attempt to provide a pretext to the Trump administration to continue its support for the ongoing war. It serves as a kind of band-aid, as a pacifier in a way to Trump to prevent him from really forcing Israel's hand and imposing a ceasefire, as Trump was close to, and as in the sort of the leaders in the Gulf countries that he spoke to sort of implored him to do. So uh, uh, the very system of this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is flawed, and it was tried a year ago. We will remember the U.S. constructed pier that only operated for a couple of weeks. And a predecessor of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a company called Fogbo, also with an association, pseudo humanitarian association in Switzerland. That did not work, and I'm convinced, as someone who has worked for half my lifetime with UNRWA and as a humanitarian, that this will sooner rather than later fail. The way I see it is it buys Netanyahu a couple of weeks, perhaps a couple of months of time before he is eventually pressured into accepting a ceasefire. In the meantime, Israel has been attempting and has to a considerable extent succeeded in sort of dismantling the existing UN-led aid system and try to replace it with this new architecture. Uh, we have seen the devastating attack on humanitarian workers, more than 300 killed, including over 200 of my former colleagues at UNRWA, accusing UNRWA and the wider UN to enable Hamas to hold on to power. Uh, we're now seeing a situation that humanitarian agencies are still present, but are prevented from sort of, with the exception of a trickle of aid that reaches them, essentially unable to do their job. Uh, uh, UNRWA has, received the brunt of the attacks on the humanitarian system. I already mentioned more than 220 UNRWA personnel killed, over 300 of its schools and clinics and other installations damaged. Uh, the agency accused, without any evidence by Israel, of some of its staff having been involved in the attacks of 7 October. And the agency, as a result, and then we have seen the culmination of these attacks on UNRWA with the passing by the Israeli Knesset, Israel's parliament, of two laws. With the aim to sort of further undermine the agency, ban the agency in East Jerusalem, and severely hamper its work in Gaza and the rest of the West Bank. We're facing a very difficult crisis with respect to UNRWA. Let me sort of draw attention to that. The Israeli attacks on UNRWA come on top of an already longer-lasting sort of gap between the needs of the Palestinian refugees that UNRWA is responsible for to provide for, and the financial contributions that are made available. So we are seeing that UNRWA is reaching another sort of financial crisis point where it may be unable to pay salaries, or it's likely that it will be unable to pay salaries from as early as next month onward, which further aggravates the situation in Gaza, but also UNRWA services in the West Bank, and also in Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, where UNRWA operates. So I just wanted to we have become sort of accustomed to the attacks on UNRWA in the broader context of the attacks on the Palestinians in Gaza. I just want to sort of recall that the crisis in UNRWA is far from over, and along with the other calls on ending the genocide, on a ceasefire, and on the resumption of humanitarian leave, opening the borders, we should also add a further renewed and urgent call on governments to continue to support UNRWA and to make an extra effort to prevent UNRWA from collapsing at the time that the Palestinian refugee population and the Palestinian population at large are at their darkest times. So let me end with that.